Welcome back to my Darling Bride podcast with the Yemlos. On this podcast, we did discover and deploy biblical gems for the building or rebuilding of kingdom homes and relationships.
Yes, we are on a mission to equip couples on how to build on a rock-solid foundation,
Yes.
cultivate a culture of honor and respect, invest intentionally and consistently in your marriage or your relationship, defend your union, and lastly, empower one another towards purpose fulfillment.
This is where love meets legacy, but like we like to say, this is where real love meets real talk. We got a good one for you on today. Let's get it. Right, so we continue our conversation on the series or the topic or the focus of Isaac and Rebekah, using them as the case study for this month relationship or marriage gem, right, that we're digging out from the Bible, the treasures of the Word of God, right? And we're really in the book of Genesis chapter 24. Previously we talked about Abraham and Sarah, and then we talked about Adam and Eve. Today we're talking about Isaac and Rebekah, looking at their relationship, their marriage, and seeing how can we learn from them. What do they do differently? What do they do right or wrong that we can take a lesson or two from and apply that into our homes, lives, and marriages, all right? Last week we talked about concerning Isaac and Rebekah, which spoke
God
specifically
involved
about
in their love story.
Exactly, it spoke specifically about God being involved not only as an item or an addition, but the foundation upon which their marriage stands. And we learned that we are to do the same as well. We are not to just involve God in our relationship or marriage. We're to make him the foundation, the literally pillar of our marriage, the foundation that our home stands upon. Today, as we read further in Genesis 24, again, still looking at Isaac and Sarah's situation, the lesson today is that love is not enough to start, is necessary for sustenance. It may not have started with love, but it must be sustained by love. It may not have started with love, but it must be sustained by love. Okay? It may not have started with love, but it must be sustained by love. In fact, it was sustained by love. And that's what we saw in the case of Isaac and Rebekah. And this should be a good news, if you will, for some people out there who, for whatever reason, depending on whatever culture or background you come from, maybe your marriage was arranged. Maybe it wasn't love at first sight. Maybe your marriage was born out of necessity and it wasn't necessarily, love at first sight. It wasn't started on the foundation of love. It's not too late and it's not the end of the word because starting love is not the same as sustaining love. There's starting love and then there's sustaining love. And it's the sustaining love that is really important because the starting love can fade away.
And I even want to add to that, even for those that did start with love, it doesn't mean, okay, we started with love and now we're married after the wedding, we're just complacent and we're just, on a, what do you call that thing? We're just cruising. The love still has to be sustained. So even if you started with love, you have to keep going and growing with love as well.
And for biblical context, right, when you go to Genesis 24 and 67, the Bible talks about how Isaac brought Rebekah to his mother, right, his mother's tent, and he took Rebekah as his wife, and he loved her, right? And he loved her. This is important. Remember, Isaac did not pick Rebekah. Rebekah was chosen for Isaac. But Isaac made a decision and a choice to love her. Right? He brought her in. He took her as his wife. And he loved her. And then the Bible says he was comforted after his mother's death. And this is important because the text shows us that Isaac loved Rebekah after the wedding.
Yeah.
Right? After the wedding. Love was not something that happened before commitment. It was something that grew inside the covenant.
Yes.
It was something that grew as they went on inside the covenant. They had already committed to the covenant.
Yeah.
And so love was a byproduct of that commitment.
Yeah.
You see, we can be committed without love, but love comes when we are committed to the covenant. The covenant is a byproduct of the love, is a byproduct of the covenant.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? I mean, because how can you be in covenant with somebody that you don't love? I mean, I don't think it makes any sense.
Yeah,
It's going to be a living hell for that person. But when you want to go into covenant with somebody, you got to make sure that it is somebody that you have a genuine heart and genuine love for, you know? And so when you read Isaac and Rebekah's story from the standpoint of how they loved each other and they allowed love to be the sustaining fuel that drives their marriage, drives their home, we get to see a marriage that blossoms, right? Because when you read the story of Isaac and Rebekah, you see that their life wasn't always easy. They had ups and downs. They went to establish multiple different things in different places, and they would face oppositions and battles and things like that. But that didn't shake them.
Yeah.
That didn't stop them. That didn't move them. They would leave that place, move on to the next place, to the next place, and to the next place. And Rebekah was by his side throughout all of that, right? And that tells us that while love may not have started that marriage, at least it was sustained by love. The question is, what are we taking away from that?
Yeah, I think the first thing really is that marriage is not just about finding love, because a lot of people get lost and kind of distracted, let me say that, by that, right? It's, I want to find love, I want to find my person, you know, and it's like, yes, great, you found the person, now what?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and a lot of times you see what happens in the course of the marriage. They start to run into issues, like you just said. They start to have ups and downs. It's not easy. It's not an easy journey. But when you have somebody you're doing that journey with and you love that person, it does make it easier. So it's not just about finding love. It's more importantly about building that love.
Yeah.
You know, we've been together for almost 10 years now, 9 years this year, 10 years married. We've been married together for much longer than that, but we've been married for going on 10 years next year. And man, we've had a lot of ups and downs, and it might not necessarily have had anything to do with our marriage, but just life in general. We've been through a lot together. And what made it easier, one, God made it so much easier for us. The Holy Spirit was there with
the
us
foundation.
throughout every the course of whatever it is we're going through. God was our foundation. We kept him as the foundation, and that helped us. And also what made it easier was that we were doing it with each other. And it's not, you know, when you have a partnership, and when you're a partnership, like a business partnership, right? You can easily break that. You could get to the point where it's like, it's not working out. I don't really want to work with you anymore.
Partner out,
right? But when you're doing it with somebody you love, it's not something you just say, I don't want to do it with you anymore. Do you understand what I'm saying? So over the course of our marriage as well, we've also been working. It's a continuous work, building the love between us, because that is what will help us sustain the marriage. Because if you don't like the person, you don't love the person you're doing life with, you're gonna be miserable. It's like we said earlier, you're gonna be miserable. You're gonna get tired of this person, seeing this person every day, talking to this person every day, because the love is not there anymore. So it's not just about finding the love, it's also about building it, working it, tending to it, pouring life into it every single time, every single day. It's about building that love consistently.
Yeah. And because you even said that, right, it leads me to my next takeaway. I guess for me, in the process of building that love consistently, we have to also understand what it takes to build the love, right? It takes patience. It takes consistency, like you said.
Yeah.
It takes service towards one another. It takes kindness.
Yes, grace. Yes.
You know, and it takes being present. You see, you can't build when you're absent.
Yeah.
You have to be present to build.
Yeah.
I remember when we were building our house, we were present.
Yeah.
Like we wouldn't take any engagement that would require me to travel. We didn't take any breaks or take vacations, go on trips and things like that. Anything that would take our eyes off of the goal for the year, we wouldn't do it, because we needed to ensure that we stayed on our builders to make sure that things were being built the right way.
Yeah.
Things were being
The way we saw it, the way we wanted.
in place the right way,
Yeah.
and things were moving on schedule as they needed to move. We were present. Yeah. We were not absent builders, because and you know, we had realtors and things like that, but they're busy, you know, they have multiple projects at the same time and their own lives and things like that. They're not gonna take your project personal like you would. Yeah. But it required that we were present. And so we shunned trips and vacations. Yes. We shunned any speaking engagement. We shunned so many different things just to ensure that we were present. And in the same way, our marriage, we're building our marriage.
Exactly.
And we're building our love.
Exactly.
We're present. We're not absent-minded. We're not absent physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. We're very present, very intentional, very aware, very alert in the building, and very intentional and consistent in the building of our relationship and our marriage, and the love. Continue to ensure that the love is growing and growing. I give you an example, a very silly, small example here. This is talking about how it is that what it takes to build that love, right? It takes nurturing that love. It takes, that's my takeaway, right? My second takeaway is that love must be nurtured, right? It must be nurtured through patience. Yeah. It must be nurtured through kindness, through presence, right? It must be nurtured through consistency, through service. Yeah. Now, the service example of the service that I was gonna give, right, was one day, I think it was 2 days ago or whatever, right? Me and you were eating chicken wings. We had gotten chicken wings from Pluckers, and it was 2 different flavors, right? Yeah. And I got a flavor that I liked, and I got another flavor that she liked, right? Yeah. But I got the first flavor because I thought we were going to share together. And it turned out that she didn't like the flavor at all. And so that meant I had to eat 5 wings out of 10 by myself, because the first half, the 5,
I don't like it.
She didn't like that flavor, right? And so I said, okay, no problem. I like the other flavor. So I was eating my flavor and her flavor at the same time, right? And then when I realized she wasn't touching this flavor, I left the other flavor for her and said, okay, you know what? You go ahead and, you can have that flavor. I'm going to just do it with this one right here. And so, we're eating, we're talking, the kids are walking around and things like that. And then after I think 10, 15 minutes, right, we realized that there was one wing left
of the flavor
that she liked. And it hadn't ever crossed my mind, because I just left that wing without saying anything. Yeah. And then after
you didn't touch it, I didn't touch
it. She didn't touch it. And we were getting ready to wrap it up and leave the restaurant and go home. And I was like, hey, what's going on with this wing? I left this wing for you. And she was like, oh, I left the wing for you. And we just laughed, because you could see that sacrificial love for one another, that before you said something to me, I had already been thinking about it towards you. Yeah. The same thing you were thinking towards me. So it's that heart that wants to serve and sacrifice for one another.
Exactly. Without even
saying anything. And it's like, if you love me the way I love you, if you sacrifice for me the way I sacrifice for you, if you serve me the way I serve you, there would never, if you submit to me the way I submit to you, there would never be a thing of, oh, I'm doing this.
More. Exactly.
I'm doing more. I'm putting more into the relationship, and you're not. Yes. Because we have this servitude mentality towards one another. Yes. As I was thinking about keeping that chicken wings for her, she was also thinking about keeping the same thing for me.
Nobody was touching it. We just kind of left it there.
As I was thinking about, let me wake up early in the morning to make my wife some breakfast.
Yeah.
She's thinking, let me wake up early in the morning to make my husband some breakfast. Right? We're thinking first about each other.
Exactly.
We're putting each other.
It's not one way.
First before ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's what God really wanted us to do in the Word, that we learn how to love and sacrifice and serve one another above ourselves.
Yeah.
It can't be one way, though. That's why it works, right? You can't always be on the receiving end.
That's exactly why it works.
Right?
Exactly.
You always got to be on the giving end. You both got to be on the giving end. Because when we're both on the giving end, guess what? We also
both receiving. Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
We both receive.
And I love that. And I think talking about, love being built and being nurtured as well.
Exactly.
You have to nurture your love.
Yeah.
The first takeaway is that you have to build your love. Right?
Yes.
It's not just about finding love, it's about building love.
Yeah.
The second takeaway is that it's also nurturing our love.
Yeah.
And we nurture that love through patience, through kindness, through service to one another, through consistency, through my biggest one and my favorite one, through being present.
Yeah.
I'm thinking we understand, like, it's such a huge factor that we are present in our home, in our relationship, and not just from a physical standpoint, because you can be physically around and still be very, very absent.
Absolutely.
But we are present.
Absolutely.
We're here, now, intentional about it.
Yeah, and even to that point as well, I think another takeaway from me is our marriage has to become a place of emotional safety. I feel like a lot of marriages lack that safe environment for each other, where, especially for the men, I feel like the women, because we are more emotional being, it's normal to see us in a state where it's like we need that comfort and we need that safety. And we don't think about it in the sense
it's
where...
It's normal for the guy to want to provide that for the woman.
Provide that for the women. But for the men, we have, the mentality that it's a man. You got to be strong.
Yeah.
You got to, be...
What does he need safety for?
Exactly.
Emotional safety for.
But the truth of the matter is, it's just like what we just said. It goes both ways. Because at the end of the day, we're still human beings. We still go through stuff. We still have the emotions. Do you understand what I'm saying? And our marriage needs to be, look at what is said in the scripture. He said, and he was comforted after his mother's death. He lost his mom, but he also had his wife there to comfort him. So you can't say, well, Isaac is a man. He got to be strong. He doesn't really need to feel any emotion. That's not real. That's not realistic. And you don't have to bottle it up because you don't feel like you can show it. You should have that emotional safety. In your home and in your marriage at all times. And I feel like that's an important takeaway, where it's like you create an environment where both spouses, both husband and wife, can have that safe space where they can be vulnerable with each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that leads me to my next takeaway, which is just making sure that we as couples prioritize comforting and covering one another in difficult seasons. It's one thing to be able to provide emotional safety or emotionally safe environment. That means I'm able to express myself. I'm able to be open up to you.
Vulnerable.
I'm able to be vulnerable with you and things like that. But then there's another thing where we make it an intentional decision as couples to both comfort and cover one another, especially in difficult seasons, right? We talked about how MDB podcast says we're equipping couples on how to build on a rock solid foundation. Cultivate a culture of honor and respect, which is the R in there. Invest intentionally and consistently in your marriage and relationship. And then the D part says defending your union. Defending your union and empowering one another. I think it is so important that your spouse knows that no matter what the case may be, you're going to defend them. In other words, you're going to cover them.
Yeah.
You're going to comfort them, especially in difficult season. The true test of love is not when things are easy.
Exactly.
The true test of love
Exactly.
is when things are difficult.
Yes.
When we are vulnerable and exposed. Do you have a partner that would take a blanket and cover you up? Cover you up and ensure that you're good.
Yeah.
Cover your shame.
Yeah.
Cover your insecurity. Cover your vulnerability. Cover your imperfections.
Yeah.
I mean, there are times where you see a wife who is maybe lacking in one area or another, and you know, the mother-in-law would come in and highlights those areas of imperfection and say this and say that. You see some husband, they will say, you see, I've told her so many times. She never listens.
Yeah.
Now look that. Don't worry. There's nothing you're saying that I don't already know.
Yeah.
I've told her so many times.
Yeah.
You join hands with your mom to bash your woman,
and
rather than
belittle.
saying, "No, it's okay. We got it. You know, we're working it out.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
know, you know." But or even, you know, talk to mama in a way where it's like, yeah, it's not a big deal. It's all right. You know, you don't add fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
You know. You make it a point to cover your significant other, to protect them and to let them know that they are protected. Or perhaps there's something difficult going on, a loss of a parent, a loss of a job, whatever the case may be. You should be the one to say, baby, don't worry. God got us.
Exactly.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, like you must always ensure that as a couple, we are not only comforting one another, but we are also covering one another, especially in difficult season. Another example of covering your spouse, especially in difficult season, is that you make it a point of mission to go on your knees and pray. Not for yourself, not for the household, not for your children, but for your significant other.
Yeah.
Man, I remember we went to Tulsa, Oklahoma at our prayer retreat with one of our Lima leaders. At the retreat, one of the pastors there got up, and before he, you know, began to minister or whatever, he said, you know what? Can we all come together and pray for my wife?
Yeah.
Right? This is a man who is covering his wife.
Exactly.
You know, in the place of prayer.
Yeah.
And he said, you know, there's this and that going on at work right now, and she's going through A, B, C, and D. And, you know, I believe God has got a big plan for her life, and I want to cover her in prayer. I've been praying for her, but you know what? This is an association of pastors. Why don't we stretch our hands and pray for her?
Yes.
That's what it means to cover your spouse.
Yeah.
You know, spiritually, physically, emotionally, psychologically. Let them know that you are there for them.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I have two examples that was going on in my head when you were saying that. The first one is just a funny one that I saw on social media, and it's lighthearted, but you could see the heart of the husband. He had a friend that came to visit him, and the wife cooked for them. And I guess whatever she cooked was too salty.
Okay.
So as he tasted it, he felt it was too salty. He felt it was too salty. So he decided to, he was like, it's like my wife didn't put enough salt. Took salt and poured it in his food and his friend's food. So now his friend ate it and it's like, now you've made it worse. Like now you've made it actually it was probably fine, but now you added more salt and now it's really salty. And he was like, oh, sorry, I thought it wasn't salted. It was like, let's just go order food. And he packed it up and took it to the kitchen. And while they're in the kitchen, he told us, I was like, what happened? You put too much salt in the food.
I love it.
She was like, really? But it was just that example. Something small like that. He just didn't want to embarrass his wife. You know, because it's a reflection of him too. So he was like, you know what? I'm going to protect her.
Took control of the situation.
As funny as it may be, he was looking out for her.
Absolutely.
And the other example I wanted to give was even when my dad passed a couple years ago, about 2023 or so. And it happened fast. We knew he was sick.
Yeah.
But it escalated so fast that we didn't expect it to happen that soon. And because of the work my father does back in Nigeria, we knew it wasn't going to be like a quick, simple kind of burial. We had to kind of plan it out and all that kind of stuff. So sitting with my siblings and their spouses and my mom, you know, my mom is going through it and we're trying to figure out how to plan everything. And we, coming from Texas, literally had to sit down because we flew to, it was in New York. We flew to New York to go meet them. And we had to sit down and figure out how we were going to plan out this funeral with everybody else. And my mom had to go back to Nigeria. And at that point, my other siblings, they couldn't just go to Nigeria and, you know, but we didn't want her to be by herself. But the body had to go to Nigeria. So there was just so many things in play. And I remember us sitting down and having I don't even think we had a conversation before that. I think in that moment you were just like,
whatever you
with
need.
everybody, like whatever we need to do, like we'll do it. And we're like, okay, mommy has to go to Nigeria. Somebody has to go with her because we don't want her to be by herself. And my husband was like, all right, fine, we will go. But the burial was going to be in July. And when we were having this discussion, this was in May. So now we're talking, we would go, but we would have to go and pretty much stay there till the burial. And after the conversation we had with the family, after the family meeting, we both sat down and I was just like, are you sure we can do this? And he was like, hey, listen, if this is what we have to do, we'll move things around and try to figure it out. And it wasn't a thing of like, okay, maybe I should go by myself with her. He felt he couldn't even leave me by myself. He couldn't even leave me by myself as well because I just lost my dad. So I'm also, as I'm trying to look out for my mom and be there for her, he himself is like, okay, I got to look out for you and make sure you're all right. And we have two little kids with us. And he was like, let's just go. We'll spend almost 2 months in Nigeria. And thank God it was the summer. The kids were already out of school. I think there was like a week left. So we had to go back and then fly out. And to me, that was such a big deal for me. Not because there wasn't other solutions that we could have come up with, we could have figured out, but that was a sacrifice on his part for me. And I felt like because he was with me, because we had to plan, we had to build a mausoleum, there were so many things we had to do. And because I was the one on ground, it meant a lot of the planning I would have to do with my mom. And he was there with me every step of the way. The things that I couldn't handle, he was there to handle. Whatever help I needed, I mean, to me, that was such a big deal. And that was a sacrifice on his part because we had work, we had the kids, we had to, you know, figure out a lot of things. And it was just a lot going on in that time. But it was almost a no-brainer for him where it was like, listen, we'll go. And we were in Nigeria for almost 2 months planning the funeral while life was still going on here in America, you know? And for me, it was just what I needed because I really wanted to be there with my mom. I didn't want her to be by herself. She couldn't have even planned those things by herself. So we had to go, and my brothers couldn't. They have their family, they have their kids that are still in school. They had other things, work and other things they had to figure out. And it was like, okay, I will go, and then they will meet me. And so we had to like plan it out. And it was just like, listen, whatever we need to do, we'll figure it out. We'll go with her right now. And we flew to Nigeria with my mom, and we stayed there throughout. And that was such a big deal for me because I felt like that was what I needed, even without asking, even without knowing at that time that was what I needed. That was exactly what I needed because my heart, I couldn't be here thinking about my mom being in Nigeria and I wasn't there with her. So without having to even think about it, the fact that was what was done, that meant the world to me. And it's just the comfort and the covering that I needed the most in that moment. And I felt like that was the perfect example of what it means to comfort and cover each other in difficult season. You know?
Yeah, because, you know, in that example that you were giving, there was a lot going on.
A lot.
There was a lot going on physically and spiritually.
Exactly.
That comforting was good, but covering also needed to happen.
Exactly.
And a lot of covering, a lot of spiritual covering, a lot of
yeah.
You know, so we but that's again, that's the test of love. That's the test of love. That's how you know you're with the right person if they are willing to drop everything to ensure your comfort and your coverage. That's in difficult season. That's the test of love. You know, I can't remember who it was. I think it was LeVar Ball or something like that. I don't remember his name. He's big in the basketball world. He's like the Serena Williams' father, right? Kind of thing, where he set his kid up to be, in the Lakers and things like that. Something happened to his wife, I think a year or 2 years ago, something like that, and he dropped everything. He dropped everything to make sure she was good and stuff like that. And then I think this year, something happened to him where they had to amputate his leg, and I think it was a disease or something like that. And the wife decided that, you know what, she has to go and pursue other interests. There are things she needs to do, and she's not one to be here and be taking care of somebody with no legs. And she decided to divorce him. You see, now, here's the thing. I'm not going to pretend to know the intricacies of their relationship or the in and outs of what's going on with them. Yeah. But that's what we're saying.
That's what we're saying.
Being able to be there for your significant other in good times and in bad times. Yes. That's the true test of love, right? And so when somebody shows up for you and it's time for you to show up and you don't show up.
It can't be one way.
You know, so anyways, but the bottom line is this, that the wedding starts the marriage, but love is what keeps it growing. Yes. Love is what sustains it. Yeah. And that's all we've spent this whole episode talking about. Yeah. Love, sustaining love, the power of sustaining love. If I was preaching it, that's what I would call it. I would call it the power of sustaining love. Yeah. You know, understanding the power of engaging the power of sustaining love. you know. Yeah. But that's all we want to talk about today. So I hope we've shared a tip or two to help solidify your kingdom union, not only with yourself, but also with others, and most importantly, with God on today.
Yes. Don't forget to like, share with your friends and family. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and comment down below.
And until next time, be the light.
Be the salt.
And remember, all things are possible if you